It's just preparing the live and then we'll go live.
Okay. Now I'm seeing a screen that says leave meeting, got it. Do I click on anything? Because
What does it say?
it says this meeting is being live streamed by
Yeah,
screen. This
yeah,
meeting,
just
you
say okay.
okay,
Yeah, everybody just sort of has to accept that it's okay.
so I'll say got it.
Yeah, and now are you seeing my screen?
Yes, I can see it now.
Setback-to-Triumph, all right.
Yes.
All right, let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. Although we only have one participant on right now, that's okay because a lot of people are going to be live streaming this through the event. Like I promised, this is 15 minutes each day. What we're going to do over the next 21 days is to identify how we go from setback to triumph. Now, if anybody has any questions at any point, you can either ask me in the Facebook group when you are watching this at a later time, or if you're here, feel free to do what it takes. Today really is setting the ground rules. We're going to go through the rules of what it is about. We're going to question ourselves what a setback is and sort of give you an introduction of what our 21-day journey is going to look like. So just to look at this, first of all, my guiding principles for all challenges that I've done always based on this one thing. Now, as a kid, you may remember using this candy called Pez. It's a little container that has a little thing, right? You remember that? Awesome.
Yes, I do.
So my thing about Pez is I've changed it slightly and I say Pez Junior. So if you actually look at the guiding principles, it's PESJR, Pez Junior.
Okay.
No projections, no expectations, no speculations, no judgments, no rejections. So when we're supporting each other through this journey, let's keep these guiding principles in mind. So we're going to meet every day for the next 21 days. We're going to become friends, 12 p.m. EST every day. It's a 15 minutes only time, which we're going to go through the concepts of the day. And then what I want to do is to make sure that you converse in the Facebook group so that we are finding out what are the 3 things that you get out of it and what is it that you need support with. And so we're here to support each other. So if I don't have the answers, somebody else in the group should have the answers. We want to share our wins. We want to seek support. We want to seek feedback. The only thing that I ask is please no promotion in any of the Facebook groups. This is what our 20-day journey, 21-day journey is going to look like. Today, we're going to talk about what a setback is. We've gone through the rules. Tomorrow, I'm going to share with you my story, why I do what I do and why I believe I constantly got setbacks and how I overcame them. The third day, we're going to talk about our prison sentence. And I'm not talking about being in jumpsuits in the prison, but the prison sentence that we give ourselves. And we are pure energy. We're energy beings. That's why we call the being. And what does it take to be what we are? And when we are what we are, then we can experience success. And what is your definition of success? Is we're going to go and I'm going to invite you to look at a different definition of success. That's going to take us to the first 5 days. The next 5 days, we're going to look at fear. Why do we stop doing what we want to do? Why do we not get the success? Because fear plays into our minds. And then we want to go and look at finding your ikigai. Now, for those of you that have not heard the word ikigai, you're going to be very familiar with this word by the time we're done. Once you know your ikigai, then you no longer want to be in a competitive mode. You want to be in an out creation mode. So what is the difference between competition? What's the difference between out creation? And how do we out create as opposed to compete? And when we know how to out create, then we can start defining what our desires and our expectations are and why those actually hold us back. And when we have a higher amount of expectations, it starts creating stress on our body. And so when we have stress in our body, what does that do to us? How does that start getting us back into setbacks and not getting us into triumph? And because we create this stress on our body, we start not being able to be intuitive and tap into our subconscious mind. And when we start tapping into our subconscious mind, we start mastering our mind. That's what we want to do. At the end of the day, you want to master your mind and take over those feelings, those thoughts, and those actions, and make sure that those 3 are in alignment. It's only when those 3 are not in alignment that we start having challenges in our lives. So the stress comes in, the distractions come in, the desires come in, the competition comes in. And so how do you start working with those thoughts? And I'm going to invite you to do first principle thinking. And we do the first principle thinking by asking 4 really critical questions that we're going to go in depth with. Once we have done this, we now come into how do we set up our triumph, right? So we look at our limiting beliefs. We want to see how you're occurring now. How is money occurring? Because at the end of the day, we define success and triumph as money. So we need to address that money. Why is money such a block for us? And so how we occur, how money occurs for us, and then what do we do to take the laws of attraction and the laws of manifestation into our own control so that we become in control of our lives. Any questions so far, Nasrin?
No, I'm pretty good. Thank you very much. You're doing
How does this
really
sound? Does this sound like a good journey for you?
Yes, it does.
Awesome.
Absolutely it does.
Excellent.
Yes.
So let me ask you a question. When I say
Yes.
setback, what does that mean to you?
To me, setbacks are what's blocking us to move forward in life.
Okay. And so then if setbacks is what's blocking you from moving forward,
Yes.
what would you say is your life force?
So I would say my setback currently would be my family.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, my family supports me in anything and everything I do.
Mm-hmm.
My children completely support me. So they're not my setback, but there are some members of the family who are setting me back from performing at my level best. So I need to overcome those setbacks, and I need to know which language to use to make them understand, to
Right.
let me move forward and go ahead.
Absolutely.
Without hurting their feelings.
That's really powerful, right? You said your family in one hand supports you, and then the other hand, they're also a challenge. And it sort of reminds me of a river, right? When you look at a river flows, right? But then there is challenges at the river so that it doesn't overflow. But that same thing that could actually make it overflow helps it stay within its path.
Yes.
And that's what happens with a lot of our life, right? We're going through this river and we come through a challenge, but that same challenge actually can become a benefit to us. So that's exactly what we want to do, right? So look at an egg, right? If an egg is broken by an outside force, it actually ends life.
Yes.
Right? But if it actually is broken up from the inside, it becomes a chicken. And so let me ask you a question.
Yes.
How many eggs does a chicken produce? How many chickens does one egg produce?
It could be 1 to multiple.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the beauty? So when you look at an apple seed and you say, well, how many, if you want to look at an apple, right? And say, how many apples is that? Right? What would you say?
To me, it's one apple with plenty of seeds.
Right, but it's actually multiple apples, right? Because you could take that seed and create a tree that would give you multiple, right? So it's the same thing with our setbacks, right? We look at a setback and say, okay, this is a challenge. We break it and we end it, and we end our life sometimes. But when we actually change that, it could actually create multiple opportunities for us.
Yes, you're right.
We have a new person that's joined us. Rian, thank you very much for joining. We started at 12 exactly, but the recording will be on the Facebook page. If you haven't joined, I invite you to join it. We did go through the 21-day journey, and we're going to sort of continue. Make sure at any point you have any questions, please feel free to.
Is her last name Shelby? Is it Ryan Shelby?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. She's from my BFW group.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining.
Hi, Shelby.
All right. So we talked about the setback, right?
Sorry for being late.
No problem. How are you, Ryan?
Okay, how are you?
Wonderful. Nice to hear your voice after so many months.
I know. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So is it Ryan? Ryan, what is your definition of setback?
I don't know, honestly.
That's okay. So most traditional definitions of setback is, being defeated, having a cost to it, right? So for instance, if somebody is going to buy something, let's say a suit or something, we often use it's going to set you back $300, right? So we always referring to setback as something that's going to be taken away from us, that's going to defeat us, that's going to hinder us, that's going to delay us, right? So, in construction, they often say, you know what? Oh, I'm sorry, your house is not on time. It's going to set back a couple of weeks, a couple of months, right? It's always associated with sort of a drawback or a fallback. And I invite you to look at a new definition. What if a setback is just a checking of progress? Remember that when we're in any environment or situation, we only can go to the next level when we've actually graduated from a previous situation. So you can't go to university until you have a high school diploma. And so when we start looking at it that way, that setback is just a progress report for us and saying, okay, have you gone through this? Do you really know that you are good with this so that I can show you the next step? Because until you're taught how to do that, you won't be going through. So often what we do, think of it this way: if you had to write grade 12 exams before you move forward and you said, you know what, this is too tough, I'm not going to write it. Well, you're not going to graduate. You have to go through that learning and staying up all night and studying and making sure that you go through and write the applications to universities so that you can get in. So it's just a checking in progress. And when you start changing the way you look at things, the things you look at start changing. Here's an example of Allyson Felix. Anybody know Allyson Felix?
Yes, I've seen her during her Olympic presentations.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you know the story of Allyson Felix, when she got pregnant, Nike actually offered her 70% less on her contract and told her, know your place and just run.
Wow.
So she actually quit working with Nike and she started her own brand of running shoes called Sash, S-A-Y-S-H, with the slogan, I know my place.
Yes.
Right? And so she won 11 medals. She was the most decorated woman sprinter at the recent Tokyo Olympics. Right? And so here is something that's a setback, right? She's a good athlete, and Nike, who is a name brand, tells her, you're going to get 70% less on your contract just because you are pregnant. And she's turned it around, turned that challenge. So I invite you that every time you actually have a challenge, it's an opportunity for the universe to give you actually to be able to make a choice. Which way are you going? And the universe always conspires for your highest good. And so when the universe is conspiring for your highest good, every time you have a challenge, you look at it, and through the 21-day journey, I will be showing you systems and things, what can help you. Before we end today, because I only have 4 or 5 minutes, I want to share a story with you, because what's really, really important is that, we always have a choice, and our life does not revolve around just having success.
Yes.
Setbacks are an important part of life. It's how you look at it. And the second thing that I'm going to emphasize and underline throughout our process is that we are an interrelated individual or being. And so we need to make sure that all areas of our life in our alignment is just not one. So this story underlines how we're going to work through the 21 days. So there was a rich king. He loved his fourth wife the most, and he adorned her with rich robes and treated her to the finest delicacies. He gave her nothing but the best. He also loved his third wife, but he used her just to show off to the neighboring kingdoms. However, he did fear that one day she would leave for another man. He also loved his second wife. She was his confidant and was always kind, considerate, and patient with him. She was a confidant who was always kind, considerate, and patient with him. So whenever the king faced a problem, he would actually confide in her, and she would help him out to get through the difficult time. The king's first wife, however, was the most loyal partner. She had made great contributions in maintaining his wealth and his kingdom. However, he did not love his first wife, although she loved him dearly. He hardly ever took notice of him. Unfortunately, one day the king fell ill, and he knew it was his time to go. So he thought about all the luxuries of life and wondered, I now have 4 wives. Who of these 4 wives is going to be joining me? So he asked his 4th wife, the first, the one that he loved the most, the one he endowed with clothes and jewelry and everything that was luxurious. He goes, I am now dying. Will you please give me company? No way, he replied. She replied. She walked away with another man and said, I'm sorry, I gotta go. This answer cut like a sharp knife into the heart of the king. The sad king then went to his 3rd wife. He said, I've loved you all my life. Now that I am dying, will you follow me and give me company? And she said, no, life is too good. When you die, I will remarry. His heart turned cold. He then went to his 2nd wife. He goes, I've always turned to you for help. You've always been there for me. When I die, will you give me company? I'm sorry, but I can't help you this time, replied the 2nd wife. At the very most, I can only walk with you till the grave. Her answer struck him like a bolt of lightning. The king was devastated. Then a voice called out, I'll go with you. I'll follow you no matter where you are. The king looked up and saw his 1st wife. She was skinny. She had suffered from malnutrition. She was not adorning any of the jewels that were given to the other wives. She greatly grieved and said, she said, I will go with you. At this point, the king greatly grieved. He said, I should have taken much better care of you when I had the chance. In truth, we have 4 wives in our lives. Now, let me ask you, do you know what the 4 wives are? Who is the 1st wife?
Someone's car.
Okay, someone's car. Interesting. Sorry,
Yeah.
So let's start backwards. What is the
Yes.
4th wife? The one that was adorned with all the jewels and everything that he wanted, right?
Yeah.
Your material desires.
Your
Yes.
material desires, yeah. All right. I'm not going to give you the answers. I'm not going to agree or disagree. I'll give you the answers later, all right? So who is our 3rd wife then? If our 4th wife is material desires, who is our 3rd wife?
Our religion.
Our religion, okay. Then who is the 2nd wife?
Our husbands and children.
Yeah, very good. Very good. And then the 1st wife?
What's nearest and dearest to us, which would be our car. We will do anything to keep our car safe and sound and pretty looking.
All right. All right. Interesting. So you had them, but just in a different order. All right. So our 4th wife is actually our body. No matter how much time and effort we lavish into making it look good, at some point, it actually leaves us.
Okay.
Right? Make sense?
Yes.
Our 3rd wife is our possessions, our status, our wealth. When we die, there's actually go to others.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why she left with another husband, right? All right. Our 2nd wife is what you got correctly, right? Is our family and friends.
Yeah.
No matter how close they have been for us, when we die,
Yeah.
they only come to the grave.
Yes.
They can't go any further than that,
Yeah.
right? And so what's our 1st wife now?
Ourselves.
It's actually our spiritual achievements. That's the faith part, right? We neglect our pursuit in pursuit of our material wealth and pleasure. We actually ignore that. And so we often ask ourselves, why are we getting these setbacks? So when you're not in alignment with the universe as a maternal and paternal factor always wants to help you out. So when you're following setbacks, think about it. Have I lost my connection with my spirituality? You don't have to be religious.
Yes.
I'm just saying you have to have some sort of a higher power that you understand has a control. Look at the universe. The universe doesn't just exist, right?
Yes.
There is this energy that flows and stays and puts everything together, right? Spring is coming out. As much as we had winter yesterday, spring is coming out. And how does the universe know that it's time to sprout?
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So there's some sort of a control. If that much control is there, can we not look at our lives and saying, well, you know what, if we're not sprouting, it's only because we're in a winter state.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to continue with lessons from a butterfly tomorrow. That's
Okay.
where we'll start. Day one is all about introduction, what setbacks are, why setbacks are actually a good thing. And so I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I want to thank everybody that's going to listen. Remember, if you can write down 3 things in the Facebook group of what you got out of today and what steps you can take to change starting day one. I know it's a little hard, but let's do that. Before I end, I know I have 2 of you over here. So any questions before we go?
I just want to say that I really enjoyed the first lesson. That's very lovely.
Hi, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Karim, you did great. Great presentation. I wish we could go on, but then 15 minutes is our limit.
You know what? Let me underline. That's a really good thing that you brought up.
Yes.
Normally we sit for an hour, and what will happen in that hour is you get so much knowledge, and
Yes.
then you only remember a portion of it. I've
Yes.
done this strategically for 15 minutes because you're going to contemplate hopefully in this 15 minutes, and then tomorrow we'll build. And so you're getting really bite-sized stuff on a
Okay.
regular basis, and so that bite size is the reason why it's 21 days, and that's why it's 15 to 20 minutes every day.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm happy to stay on for longer, but my 15 minutes is my commitment to you. So
Yes.
if there's any questions,
Okay.
if not,
Okay.
we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks, Karim. Okay. See you
Thank
tomorrow.
you. Awesome.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.